evening. Welcome to the Pearl Report. I'm Diana Lin. Tigers, dolphins, helicopters. They're terms for parenting, and debate reverberates over the pros and cons of these various child rearing methods. Experts say most parents in this competitive city want to raise high achievers. Producer Yvonne Liu finds out how these and other mums and dads nurture their offsprings and how their kids turn out.
Peggy Wu is a Year 1 piano major at the Hong Kong Academy of Performing Arts.
I would really like to just spend the next few years of my life just working on my technique, seeing how far I can get in a field that is very, very competitive and very hard to succeed in.
Peggy, at 18, aspires to be a pianist and dreams of performing at Carnegie Hall in New York City.
My love for music is similar to an arranged marriage.
Her mom, Rizzo, a veteran piano teacher, started Peggy playing when she was 3.5.
I really honestly didn't have too much of a choice. Piano felt like more of a responsibility, so it was something I should do as a kid.
When the kids were very small, they don't really know what they're interested in. I wouldn't let her choose freely. When she turned 7, I realized she loved the stage. When she got on stage, she came alive. I thought, will she be a pianist?
Rizzo promptly took Peggy to renowned pianist Eleanor Wong to start her formal drilling.
Her teacher had very high expectations. She taught Peggy to pursue perfection. So Peggy was extra diligent. When she started practicing for 2 to 3 hours a day, she was already 9 or 10. Peggy's not a particularly gifted piano player, professionally speaking, but she's a very tenacious person. I hope through such piano training, she'd learn to challenge herself, to persevere, to bite the bullet and handle pressure.
To leave more time for the piano.
I forbade Peggy to use homework as an excuse to slack when she tires from piano practice. I didn't allow that.
She ordered Peggy to finish her homework during lunch breaks and recesses at her international school. One night when Peggy was in Year 6, Grandma stayed over and found out Peggy got up in the middle of the night to do homework.
It turned out she'd done that for many nights. At school, she cared a lot about her self-image, so she wanted to hand in sterling work to her teacher. There wasn't enough time at school.
The message she would always pass on to me is piano should be your priority and schoolwork should be a second place. But having built up that work ethic, I hated handing in homework that I did half-hearted.
I was in a bit of a quandary, but I know my daughter's character. She's so active and playful. If I let her loose, she'd really be all over the place. If I softened up, my bottom line would recede further and further. I admit I'm a tiger mom. I'm very stern, and I'm very tough.
She has 4 children.
In my children's eyes, especially my son, he'd think his mom is a stereotypical super tiger mom.
Do you think your mom is a tiger mom?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
I just hope my kids understand mom wants the best for them.
Yale University law professor Amy Chua popularized the term tiger mother in her controversial book in 2011. Chua, a Chinese-American, attributed her own achievements to an authoritarian upbringing, which she also wrought upon her 2 successful daughters.
I remember Amy Chua wrote, it is her responsibility to be able to help her kids achieve a better level, and that is something that my mom would constantly tell me.
Peggy was also made to practice swimming.
It was 12 degrees Celsius that day. I still asked her to enter the water. She was only 5. When I saw my daughter's lips turn green, my heart ached. But no, she wouldn't freeze to death. She has to persevere because it's good for her health. The impression of her friends and teachers was, I'm a crazy mom. She's quite an event organizer, so the teachers often wanted her to help at school. So on such occasions, Peggy would say, sorry, Mom said no. She still used this line when she was much older, so her friends felt, is there something wrong with this mom?
Peggy's perseverance paid off academically. She scored full marks for her international baccalaureate.
My mom would never accept anything less than an A. Yeah. When she expects so much out of me, it's actually a sign of her having confidence in me that I could do something like that.
She was offered by Hong Kong University to study law and the Academy of Performing Arts to major in music.
I told my husband, no matter which she picked, I'd object. Because if there's an opposing voice, she'd understand her own choice even better.
I'm equally interested in both things, but when I laid all the cards on the table, law school is something I could go back to any time at any stage of my life, but music is something that involves working the physical and building up a technique that I have to do when I'm young.
Rizzo and Peggy then agreed that for every 30 hours of piano practice in her last summer before college, Peggy could go out once with her friends.
Because the piano training ahead would be very tough and lonely, stripping her of a lot of fun time, I suggested she challenge herself.
I can't say that I succeeded, but I tried my best, and I saw her reasoning behind it. So even though my friends thought it sounded ridiculous, a lot of my friends have quite liberal parents.
And now she's grateful for her mom's sacrifices.
When I was younger, when my mom disagreed with how I approached a piece of music, all I could think of was, oh, she's nang, 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 like, oh, nothing is ever enough for her. But as I grew older and I really began to see that, honestly, she didn't have to sit at the piano 3 hours with me every day to point out my mistakes, because she probably has a life too. So I have that to thank her for.
Rizzo has been running her own piano school for nearly 2 decades.
Most of the parents who taught their kids well were harsh when they were small. They gradually relaxed their grip and eventually let go completely when they became independent. The absolute majority of kids I saw being raised along this timeline have a very good idea what they're doing and a great sense of identity.
But she says weaker parents actually harmed their kids.
They would feel since their kids would most likely lose, they better not compete. Or they couldn't stand seeing their kids cry after losing in competitions, so they just shielded their kids. As time goes by, when the kids reach a tipping point, they choose to quit and flee. While I understand the heartache, I believe kids have tremendous potential in surmounting their hurdles.
Rizzo says she didn't start out as a tiger mother.
I never thought I had to be that involved when I nurtured my kids. But moms will be moms. Once the kid starts learning things and hunting for schools, maternal instincts will be manifested. Then my husband realized, you can be quite a crazy mom. Even though it wasn't the way he intended, he offered infinite support along the way.
But tiger parenting also causes concern.
For instance, forcing their kids to play piano. They do play for 2 to 3 hours a day. But once they rebel at puberty, they won't even touch the piano anymore. It becomes a big waste of time and creates tension between the parents and their children. There might be 1 or 2 success stories out of 100, but if the other 98 are sacrificed, I don't think the only 2 who prevail can justify the method.
That's just what happened with Rizzo's son Brian, who is now 15. About a year ago, he gave up on piano competitions.
Later, I realized I can't be a supervisor to him like how I'm to my daughter. I have to be his listener instead, offering support only.
3 main grape varieties for white.
Coming up after the break, how a parent's achievement impacts her kids.
She's been to Harvard, she's been to Smith, she's the first Asian master of wine.
It's really hard to achieve that much.
Really? Are you sure?
Yes.
And creating a perfect family out of imperfection.
It kind of burst the bubble of an ideal family that I had in my head.
More on that when we come back.